everyone coming on and getting involved in the virtual prize giving. Just spoke to Pete, and I thought it was like very crucial that we celebrated quite a difficult season. Obviously with COVID and all that, I think it's something good to bring the community together and have a little bit of a celebration of what we've gone through this year and how well as a club we're starting to improve and grow. And it's all down to the people in this room, and obviously the likes of Pete and one or two other helpers that have played a major part in making sure that Elland Cricket just takes the next step forward. And it's been really awesome to be a part of it. And this is another example, this call, of people that have had an impact on where Elland Cricket's going. So thank you very much for obviously getting involved tonight, and hopefully it will be just a nice little celebration of the season. So I'm going to just pull up the little presentation I've put on, and then we'll have a few prizes, and the people that win prizes, what I'll do is I'll get in contact with you afterwards, and then I will send you, each person that wins a prize will win £15 Amazon gift card, so you can use it to spend on birthday vouchers or birthday presents or Christmas presents for your parents or whatever it is, or just something nice for you. And then just celebrate it together. If after each award is given, if we could just unmute our mics and just give that person a round of applause from everyone on here. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Perfect. So we'll start off. I'm going to share the little presentation that I've got, and we'll get going from there. Okay. Typical technology, just getting it going. There we go. Can you hear that?
No sound.
No sound. Okay. Just sorry. Typical flipping technology. When you want it to work, it doesn't.
It's working now.
Sorry, guys. It was working perfectly before. Oh, perfect. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
And so I just wanted to welcome everyone to the Elland CC Junior Virtual Prize Giving. The Under-9 Player of the Year Award goes to Jack Olsen. Well done, Jack. Yeah, well done, Jack. Really been a vital part of that Under-9 squad. That is coming from your peers. Your peers have voted for you as the Under-9's Players Player of the Year Award. Really well done. We'll then move on to the Under-9 Parents Player of the Year Award. And the Under-9 Parents Player of the Year Award goes to Jack. Well done, Jack. So not only have you been voted as the Players Player of the Year, but the parents have also voted for you as the Parents Player of the Year Award in the Under-9 section. Really well done. Well done once again, Jack. We move on to the next award, and the next award is the Under-11s Players Player of the Year Award. And the Under-11s Players Player of the Year Award goes to Jack. So once again, the Under-11 players have come together and voted for Jack. Obviously made a real big impact in both the Under-9 and Under-11 age groups, and therefore your peers have voted for you as the Players Player of the Year. Well done, Jack. Really good stuff. We then move on to the Under-11s Parents Player of the Year Award. And the Under-11s Parents Player of the Year Award goes to Jack Oldfield. So, Jack, once again, well done. Your peers, the parents of the Under-11s and of Elland CC have voted for you as the Under-11 Parents Player of the Year. So well done, really good. It just shows how much of a impact you've had and the effort that you put on the field and off the field and the impact you've had as a human being. So really well done, Jack, and we congratulate you on winning the Parents Player of the Award for the Under-11s. We move on to the Under-13 Batsman of the Year Award. And the Under-13 Batsman of the Year Award goes to Josh. Well done, Josh. Really, really, really well done, Josh. Good effort. You've been a standout performer with the bat. It's earned you a game in our obviously Sunday development senior side, and it's really, you're really showing progress in becoming a really switched on good young cricketer, and look forward to seeing the progress that you have over the next few years, and hopefully we'll be seeing you representing the Elland senior sides in the not too distant future. So well done there again, Josh. The next award that we move on to is the Under-13 Bowler of the Year Award. And the Under-13 Bowler of the Year Award goes to once again, another person who's had a real impact in that Under-13 squad, who's shown that he has a knack of knowing what he's doing with the ball and managing to outwit the batters, shown a whole deal of promise, and also there has earned himself a senior appearance in our Sunday development side, where he not only held his own, but he proved himself as a cricketer. And I look forward there again to seeing another one of our juniors coming through the ranks and representing our senior Elland CC club sides. So really well done, Om, and keep working as hard as you do. The next award that we move on to is our Under-13 Players Player of the Year Award, and the Under-13 Fielder of the Year Award. And the Under-13 Fielder of the Year Award goes to really well done on. And you've shown there again as a cricketer, not only can you spin batters out, but you put the effort on the field, saving runs for your team in the field, putting your body on the line, and therefore have earned the Under-13 Fielder of the Year award. The next award that we move on to is the Under-13 Player of the Year award. Your peers have voted, and they have voted on this award. Once again, is obviously voted for by your peers, and your peers have come out and voted for you as a Player of the Year award. You've shown there again a quality of leadership, a quality of the knowledge of the game on the field and off the field, and just in general, your improvements as a cricketer. And we look forward to the improvements and the development you're going to keep on showing over the next few years. And like I say, hopefully we see you in the senior Elland CC club sides. So there again, well done on, and well done on your award. The next award is the Under-13 Parents Player of the Year award. This is a player who the parents have voted for, who they believe represents us, and the Under-13 Parents Player of the Year award goes to Bahira. Again, not only have you been an example to your peers, but the parents have noticed the qualities that you show on the cricket field and have made that noticeable by voting you as Under-13 Parents Player of the Year award. Well done, and keep working hard and keep progressing. Really well done, Om. The next award goes to the Most Promising Player of the Year. The Most Promising Player of the Year award this year goes to Jack. As you've noticed tonight and throughout the cricket season, Jack has not only shown his ability in the under-9s team, but the under-11s team as well. And he's shown as a cricketer, he's starting to develop and grow and learn and understand his game, and therefore has been voted as the Most Promising Player of the Year. And we look forward to seeing your growth over the next few seasons. Thanks for your commitment, and really well done, Jack. Well done again. The next award that we move on to, and this person is the Rising Star of the Year, and this has obviously been voted for by everyone through the voting form, and the player that has won the Rising Star of the Year award is once again, I think the title itself in that award describes you perfectly as a cricketer. You are a rising star, and if you keep working as hard as you do and putting the performances on the field like you do, we look forward to seeing a star in the making. So keep working hard, keep putting a lot of effort in, and keep just doing what you do. And we're very proud of you, and we look forward to seeing your progress over the next few years. Well done, On. So tonight, as much as it's about the awards and obviously coming together as a community to celebrate these awards, it's also about having a little bit of insight, not just from me, but also from a professional cricketer who plays his game at the highest level, who's experienced the game and the challenges of the game this year especially. And I've just got a little clip to introduce this person, and then I will bring this person in after the video has been shown. He has been known to be able to hit a long ball. He also represents the Scottish national cricket team, and I want you to have a look. So our guest speaker tonight, he's joined us all the way from Scotland. I do appreciate his time. I appreciate him coming on. His name is Ollie Waldron Hayes. He represents the Scottish national team. He can hit a long ball. And from speaking to him, he also knows a little bit about personal training and getting fit. And I'm sure he'll speak a little bit about that when he comes on now. But Ollie, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for coming on. And we look forward to just hearing a little bit about what it means to be a national cricketer, an international cricketer, and just a little bit of your insights into the game.
No, cheers, mate. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, we've spoken a lot over lockdown. I've spoken to quite a few people, obviously, since having a lot more free time on my hands. So, hi everyone. So, a little bit of an insight. So, obviously, play for Scotland. I've been out of the side for a while. In the last year and a half, I've been back in due to injuries. So last year we were in the World Cup T20 qualifiers. We qualified for the T20 World Cup, which is due to be in Australia in October, the other month. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on, the whole year has been sort of shaken around. So an insight into what should have been one of the busiest years of my cricketing career. So we would have had 3 World Cricket League 2 ODI tours to Papua New Guinea, Australia, and then we'd have a few over another tour of them coming over here. And they were all called off quite early on. The T20 World Cup was obviously called off in Australia in October. We were also meant to have Australia and New Zealand over in midsummer for a couple of ODIs and a couple of T20s as well as quite a few sort of sporadic T20s with a few other touring sides. So what has turned out, what should have been one of the busiest summers I've had, has turned into one of the tougher ones as a sportsman. And having spoken to quite a few of the lads the other week, we've just gone back to training. It was good to have an insight into how they sort of dealt with the whole situation. So from an associate point of view, obviously we're not a full member, so we're not lucky enough to have nowhere near as much funding. So obviously the likes of England, West Indies, Australia were able to come into those bio bubbles. For us, it just wasn't feasible price-wise, so we don't get anywhere near as much funding. With the World Cup not going ahead, that was also a massive lack of funds. So it was a lot of it was a case of waiting for decisions, which for us was tough which was really tough. So there's 2 separate types of players up in Scotland. We only have 12 contracted players. So they're full-time players who get paid to train, and then there's quite a few pay-to-play contracts, which is what I was on this year. So if we don't play, obviously there's no funding. We have to try and work out other means. So most of it is self-employed coaching or getting paid to play at a club, which again was very limited. I was lucky enough to have some cricket down in Newcastle, which is where I was playing last year. But training wise, again, it was a massive case of just waiting around, sitting at home, and being possibly called upon within days, which was the case. We managed to get down to do a pre-season, say a couple of T20s against Durham, and that was on 3 days' notice. So it was all quite short, sharp. Had to be ready. So there were a few things I wanted to talk about that really helped me through what was a very difficult time. So we spoke a lot, obviously with a lot of the staff being furloughed as well. We weren't able to chat too much to too many people, but we had a life coach, if you want to call her, or a mind guru. She's got a lot of names, and we were able to speak to her as and when we needed. And as a group, we have a couple of core values that we sort of come across and live by on a day-to-day basis, and they really helped us through this last couple of many months. So the first one was controlling the controllables. So from our point of view, we weren't able to control training, how we were training. It was very much a case of what can we control at home. So our S&C program stayed the same. We adapted as much as possible to at home. People were buying in weights. There's videos online of me lifting bags of rocks. There's pictures of people with their cricket bags on their back doing squats. Their friends that they were living with, basically trying to keep up as much motivation and fitness, so that as and when we got the call to say, right, we're back training, we've got a tour or we've got a potential game, we weren't miles behind. So that was a massive help from my point of view. Obviously with my fitness background, I was able to do a few videos to keep me happy and keep me out of trouble. And the next one was bringing solutions and not problems. So that's a big one that the coach is pushing. So obviously it was very easy to get into that mindset of there's loads of problems and complaining, and that creates just that negative mindset on a day-to-day basis. And as soon as that creeps in, it's really hard to just motivate yourself to do really sort of anything. So we have a big focus on bringing solutions, which varied. Obviously I started to do loads of people started doing some delivery work. I know there's an article actually just come out from Van der Merwe, I think, from the Dutch team, and he's doing Uber Eats at the moment. So I was doing a bit of farm work. I was picking potatoes to keep myself busy, which is another nice way of getting outside, and to working out solutions around training. And as well, obviously, not many people had weights at home, so we had to try and work out different solutions on how we can keep our levels up as much as possible, so that we were ready to come back. The main one as well, third one, was no issue is too small. So I think in the first couple of weeks, people found it okay. They didn't think it was going to be for too long, so motivation was quite high. There's challenges on a daily basis. So the regional guys, we had how many burpees can you do in a minute? How far can you run in 3 minutes? What was the quickest 5K time? So regular things just to try and keep us as motivated as possible. As it sort of extended, it was really tough. So even small things like not being able to go out and have a coffee with your friends, or not being able to after training or before training, usually we sort of meet up, have a chat. It being a team sport, we're always having that team sort of bond, and having that going on tours to absolutely nothing was really tough. So our mindful coach did make a big thing of, even if you think it's the smallest thing that is putting you off or getting you down, if you're thinking it, there's a high chance someone else was. So we ended up having quite a few sort of Zoom meetings and just getting on the phone, coffee club, having a coffee on Skype with each other, and just chatting it all out. one of the great things we did last week actually was we sat down as a group in sort of pairs and threes and just discussed if we had to do it all again, what did we enjoy, what would we do differently, and what we learned from it. And that was from a group of lads who don't usually talk about their feelings and emotions. It was actually really good to sit there and chat to each other about how their struggles. And I was lucky enough to have a garden. One of my mates was in a studio flat, so with his girlfriend. So he was in the one room and he was really struggling. So it was really good to just sit down, have a chat, and just see how everyone else coped and how we could, moving forward, if it were ever to happen again, how we could sort of get around it. The main one, just talking to each other as much as possible. It's always great. You get training, you get games, you go on tours, you go on little trips. You've always got that sort of team bond. And even when we got back into training first off, it was all very individual. So we were spread out across the whole cricket field, and we were just waving at each other. We just really wanted to go over, have a chat, see how each other were doing. We were literally had to be half a cricket field apart. You'd be driving past people coming into the ground and you'd be just waving, and that was the only contact you could get. So it was really good, just try and stay in touch as much as possible. Really easy now, obviously, with all the different social media platforms and WhatsApp and everything. It's so easy to stay in touch. I know a few of the lads did get, probably about 2 months in, things started to get a bit weird. I think Matthew Cross was he was in his house by himself, and he got crazy on TikTok and doing little golf tricks, and everyone had to check up on him at one point. I think he did 8 in about a day that looked like they took about an hour each. So we all had to make sure he was okay. And then I got weirdly into coffee. Not a connoisseur, but that was one thing I really sort of focused on. A few of us grew our hair out. I mean, most people have cut it, but mine's still going. I'm getting quite a bit of abuse at the moment for it because I keep wearing a pink hairband, but it's the only one my partner has, and I'm not going out and buying one just yet. So yeah, on the whole, it's just try and stay in touch with each other, and small little goals, and those challenges kept me going the whole way through. So it's been tough on everyone, not just sort of talk to you guys. I think the pros at the top have also struggled quite a bit.
Thanks so much, Ollie. Obviously, I think all those insights are extremely valuable, especially when it comes to the situation that we're still in and have been through. I think guys, and especially watching the pros on TV, feel like they're living in a completely different world. But I think from what I can kind of understand, as never been in that environment, but having been lucky enough to meet 1 or 2 players, I can imagine the struggles that they are going through when they're in a biosecure bubble, and the only interaction they have is with their teammates, and it's difficult to go from day to day trying to maintain just a normal life whilst in a biosecure bubble where that's all you're allowed to know and see for 2-3 weeks. And like England had, they were in a biosecure bubble for 8 weeks. So as a professional, I think you give up a lot, and the sacrifices that you make are sometimes not recognized, especially by the general community that watch cricket. So yeah, very good to get an understanding, and it's good to hear what you kind of did to keep yourself busy over lockdown. It was always interesting popping onto Instagram and watching Ollie's feed. There was always some sort of strange thing happening in the garden, whether it be rowing in the garden, or like he was saying, like Ollie says, he had some sort of weighting system that he used to do some weights. So there again, it's been creative. And I think that as a young cricketer, especially in this environment that we're in now, is something that we can maybe take forward, is how do we become better cricketers when we have limited resources? Because I think at the moment and going forward for the next little while, we're going to have to become creative in terms of ways of training by ourselves in an environment that we might not feel comfortable in. And it's about testing ourselves and keeping pushing ourselves, whilst obviously not having all the normal niceties of cricket training. So obviously, I did ask our community and the people here for a few questions, and the questions that have been sent have actually been quite challenging and good ones. So hope you're on your toes and ready for them.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay, so the first question I have is from Ziggy. Is Ziggy on? Oh, there is Ziggy. Hi, Ziggy. So Ziggy asked, what has been the best match of your career? And then in brackets, he also wants to know what your worst match is.
Oh, that's harsh, Ziggy. So, best match had to be my debut against India A. I was 18, and I had my GovPol A level the day before, which would have been my debut, but I couldn't get out of the exam early, so I had to finish that exam, then go across. So I was 12th man for that one, which we won. However, didn't obviously, being 12th man, didn't participate too much apart from carrying on some drinks. I think Richie Barrington got a magnificent 100, and I just kept telling him, just keep doing that. So then I played the next day, and I literally finished my second GovPol exam in the morning, and my cricket coach at school was parked just outside the hall, and he zoomed me across to Glasgow at Clydesdale, and that was one of the special day. My mum, my dad, my brother were watching. So that was probably the best moment. Performance-wise, wasn't too bad. I think I hit a big six straight. So that was my first one. I think it was the fourth ball or something. So kept going on that road. Worst performance or worst game? It's a hard one, actually. I've not had too many performance-wise. I try not to dwell too much on the poor ones. I learn and move on quite quickly. Otherwise, especially with cricket, it's quite a good leveler. So you keep going on the bad performances, and there's usually more bad ones than good ones. So, worst one. Probably losing the final of a championship. It was level 2, and the same year of my debut, we got absolutely destroyed by Ireland, and we lost the final after doing quite well in the actual tournament itself. So that was quite tough, and that was the first big loss that we had. So that sort of hit home a bit.
Thanks.
Any names from that India side that the guys would know?
So at the time I didn't know, but I think looking back, I got sent a picture last year. So I was speaking to Cross Border Cricket, and he sent a picture. I think Jadeja was there. There was a load of names, which at the time I didn't even cross my mind. I do remember them all rocking up with their IPL helmets though. And I was just sat there at 18, just coming out of my A level, and I was like, oh, this is a big step up. I just remember fielding a cover one, was it mid wicket? And one of the guys hit the ball, and I've never seen a ball hit so hard in my life, and it stung for about 8 overs. And at that point, I just thought, right, this is a step up. I need to be on my toes here.
No, it's good. The only reason I ask is because it's obviously always nice to relate in terms of who you've been involved with and who you've been around. And I think like that type of experience, like you say, even as if you want to call it a smaller country playing against a bigger country's A team, it's still a step up. And I think that challenge, no matter what level you're at, is always the biggest in cricket, is how do you make that gap up, and what's going to define you as a cricketer, and are you willing to put that little bit of extra work in to minimize that gap. And yeah, I think people here are international cricketer, but there is still challenges within that environment from one game to the next. So yeah, good to hear insight from that. Hopefully Ziggy got something out of that question. Good stuff. Thanks for the good question. Really, really enjoyed it. Sorry, do you have something to say there, Ziggy? Good stuff. Okay, next questions. And I've got a few here from Isaac and Simon, our cricket badgers. So the first one from them is, how important is balance and the crease for power hitting? And what can we do to improve a young player's balance?
Oh, so my game, especially in the T20 sort of format, balance is the one thing I focus on. So when I'm batting really well, I'm completely still, and I'm able to pick up the ball really quickly. When I'm out of form, if you slow my videos down that you see, my head's all over the place, and then I just can't pick the ball up. Which when it's coming down quite quick, or it's starting to turn, or they're trying to mix up their pace, is key. Any little off center with your head, or any little key thing that you can sort of look at is vital. So being as still as possible is the main focus. I love my no feet drill, so I get in a nice powerful position and just have throwdowns, and I hit the ball without moving my feet, and I really focus on being still and just throwing my head at the ball. I'm a big believer on, if wherever your head goes, your feet will naturally follow. I've always had that sort of mentality. I have in the past just moved my feet and my head stays behind, and I'm nowhere. So a nice balanced position is key. We use one where you get a nice thin plank. It doesn't have to be too far off the ground, and we do throwdowns off that. So if your head's slightly left or right or forward, you just fall off. So that's a great one to make sure that your center of gravity is nice and still. Videoing myself is also a massive one. So I trained, I don't even know what day we're on Saturday. So I trained on Thursday night, and we were trying to work out why I wasn't hitting certain balls as well as I'd like. And when we slowed it down, it was all to do with my starting position. So personally, as a bowler's running in, if I'm stood still for too long, I end up fidgeting and then moving slightly. Whereas if I take my setup a little bit later in their sort of delivery stride, I'm nice and still, and then we're good to go. Each batter is different. I know some batters that like to stand still, but if you look at the game now, I mean, Steve Smith, it looks like he's all over the place, but when you slow it down, point of delivery, he's completely still, and then his head goes to the ball. So yeah, it's a massive one, and that's just two things that I find work really well.
Thanks for that answer. Really insightful, and hopefully Simon and Isaac got something out of that, even though Isaac can't hit the ball off the square. The next one that we move on to is any tips. So the whole question is also, one of the big things spoken about in the IPL is wrist speed. Any tips for how to improve this as a junior, or is this something that you're born with?
I think we talk a lot about sort of bat speed, and whether that comes from the wrist, shoulders, or whatever, I think varies. It also varies on the shot. So I think I sent you a video the other day of my bat speed.
It's ridiculous.
So I like to. It's a fine line. I think you can swing as hard as you want as long as you're balanced and stable. If you swing too hard, so hard that you're off balance and you lose your shape, then obviously that bat speed relationship between keeping your shape and timing sort of goes down. Is it born with? I think genetics plays a little part. So obviously I'm a bigger guy, so my fast twitch fibers aren't as quick as some of the others. But I like to do the light ball, heavy ball training. So you just get different densities of balls, throwing them at you, and you just keep hitting them. It's all about contact point and really pushing through the ball. Heavy, light bats. If you get used to swinging a heavy bat at a certain speed, then when you go back to your bat, it feels really light, and you feel like you can really get your hands through it. Same as well, if you just physically want to feel how quickly you can swing the bat. Sometimes do use it with tennis rackets, or really, really light bats. Hurling sticks are quite good, because they're basically just thin bits of wood, and you can really just give it a welly, which really gets you moving those hands. I've started doing recently on the bowling machine, just setting up sort of a length. I'm not overly fussed about the outcome. I'm physically just trying to get my hands as quickly through the ball as possible, and then taking it into sort of sidearm and then honing it in slightly. I think it's the Bryson method. I think he said the golfer, he started just having a few sessions a week of just absolutely sending it with his driver, just to try and get those speeds up. And then if you can swing consistently higher, then when you drop down, then it's a little bit more controlled. Also depends on the type of shot. Risk comes into it a little bit more. It's just something you sort of have a play with. and have some fun with, I guess. And then I always like to challenge myself at that, and then go back into sort of a more, not restrictive, but a more neutral way of sort of batting, and just see how that sits. But I'd say wrist speed, bat speed, as well as the balance, and that base is vital. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that as a junior cricketer, you're always wanting to hit the ball harder and further and quicker, but it's how you go about it that's effective. And I think, like you say, that it's different for everyone, and you just got to find what works for you. You've got your processes that you trust and you know. And I think as you progress through your career as a cricketer, you kind of find little bits and pieces that work for you and chuck away the ones that don't. So there again, another very insightful answer to that question. Hopefully Simon and Isaac got something out of that again. I see a thumbs up. That's good to see. Hopefully Isaac does a lot of that now in lockdown, and we'll see him hitting the ball a little bit harder. And then the last, I've got two more from them. Could we also get some information on bat grip? And obviously I didn't tell people who was going to be speaking tonight. So does this mystery man change his grip depending on how the game is going? Ian Morgan's grip, when he starts hitting out, appears to change more to hockey hurling grip.
Yeah, I've worked a bit with sort of about this, and it all depends for me personally on how, if I'm premeditating a shot. I know that I'm going to try and reverse sweep, for example. I do twist my wrist so that it's just quicker for me to get into that position. I do try and do it as late or as subtly as possible, just to try not to give any tips to the sort of the bowler. It's hard. I think I like to think of it more as sort of my bat path, so my bat swing stays nice and consistent, and then at the last minute I may open my hands up to try and go over cover, or if I keep my wrists nice and strong, then I'll hit it more sort of mid wicket way. Just because I've never liked changing my wrists too much. I've always gripped the bat quite hard with my bottom hand. So I'm in a what I'd class as a nice powerful position, sort of baseball style almost. Anyway, and I'd almost go the other way, whereas I loosen off the bottom hand if I'm playing sort of the longer format of the game. It's I think it's a bit like the bat speed, sort of personal preference. I remember watching Brendan McCullum. He said he held it sort of hands a bit further apart because he felt like he was able to get onto the pull a bit quicker. Whereas Gilchrist held it right at the top. And Graham Thorpe, one of my younger idols, he held it right at the bottom. So I think it's just whatever feels natural, whatever you feel that you can generate the most power while staying as sort of balanced as possible. And I would just say, just practice it. If you want to try out different ways, gripping it in different sort of angles or different grips, make sure you try it in training and see how it goes before you start trying it in games. Same with any sort of shot, really. I wouldn't start trying things unless you're 100% sure on it. Yeah, have a play with it and see what happens.
Yeah, another thumbs up. You're getting quite a few thumbs up tonight, Ollie. It's good to see.
That's a first.
Yeah. I think there again, that insight's really great, and especially coming from someone who does like to hit the ball nice and hard, and probably got a little bit of a similar start to Ian Morgan in terms of the power hitting element. Obviously there again, it's a personal preference, and you might do it differently to him, and it's just finding what works for you. So I appreciate that little bit of insight. Another one that obviously gets talked about, and Simon's brought it up here, is also the use of the batting crease for an advantage when trying to access different areas to hit to.
Well, see, I like this one. So I'm first couple of balls, or first, depending on the scenario. So at the moment, I'm usually coming in sort of 3. So I could be in the power play, I could be out of the power play. I like to really use that crease, just because obviously the bowler's trying to bowl slower balls, Yorkers. He could try and fire anything out. There's lots of variations in sort of T20 and ODIs, to be fair, at the moment. So I quite like to start quite deep, or start in my normal stance, sort of split of the crease, and then I usually drop back. that for personal, so I sort of cover my stumps because I'd back myself to hit anything straight. I'd like to think that I can get that on it. If I'm not, then fundamentally we've got a problem. The Steve Smith approach. And then usually they're either going to drop a bit short, so that gives me a little bit more time. If it's a slower ball, it gives me a little bit more time to pick it up. And then usually that wide Yorker, I just feel like I'm able to get that. A lot of it is also trying to manipulate, seeing where the field is. So if I think that they're going to try and angle it in at me, I do sometimes walk away, open up that offside, or I'll sort of walk a little bit at the batter if it's a slower pitch. It's just something that, again, have a play around with, see what works for you. I used to just drop straight back, and then that set my hips completely out of line. So I wasn't able to hit certain deliveries that I really should have been able to hit if I just stood still. So that's when we basically just took exactly the same stance, but took it back slightly and to the offside. That just meant I was able to access those deliveries. But yeah, field manipulation's a big thing. And it's just making sure that you practice every single shot. So traditionally, they put everyone on the leg side out. So that's why I started with the reverse sweeping. So now I'm more comfortable reverse sweeping and switch hitting because I've spent hours and hours on the Merlin and the bowling machine throwdowns doing that, so that I know exactly where my feet are going to be in order to hit it behind and in front. Whereas me trying to go into out over cover, that's just not my thing. And so if I get out doing that, I know the coach is going to shout at me. Whereas if I try and reverse sweep it and get out, I know I've practiced that for hours and hours and hours, and I back myself to do that. So yeah, again, just have a little play with it, where your feet should go, and the reason behind it. Don't just do it for the fun of it because it looks cool. If you're coming down the wicket, there's got to be a reason for it. Are you trying to put the bowler off his length? Is it swinging, or are you dropping back so that you can get under it for a Yorker? As long as there's a reason behind it and you've practiced it, then all is well, as long as you execute it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really awesome, and I think that wraps up Simon's and Isaac's questions. But yeah, in terms of the insight there, again, I think like Ollie says, it's a lot of down to personal preference, and it's about making sure you practice it enough, and it's about the amount of time spent practicing it and getting the execution right before you go and try to do it out in a game scenario, obviously where the pressure's at maximum. Then we go on to our next two cricket badges, or that's what they qualify themselves as. These two people named Josh and Pete. I don't know. I think they're somewhere here. Don't know who they are, but yeah, they've asked. Would like to know, what is your best ever score whilst playing senior cricket?
So senior cricket, so club cricket. I was at York. I got 208 not out in a national knockout game. Which was a 40 over game, and I got it off 97 balls, I think.
That's low.
Yeah. So worryingly as well, I think I was 50 off 45, so the next 150 came quite sharp. But yeah, so that's the highest club score that I've got. Scotland scores still only 30 because I've not played too much recently. My regional stuff, so that's the one downs that I got 300s last year, about 130 to 120 odd. Again, one of them was off a runner ball, the other were striking at more sort of 180 plus. So once I'm in, I like to keep going at that sort of rate. So yeah, 208. That was a fun day out, that one.
Impressive, that, and obviously it's very impressive from the fact that from 50 or 45 balls to get in that next lot in the same amount is absolutely ridiculous. So there again comes down to sticking to your game plan and trusting yourself, I guess, and especially at that level.
Yeah, definitely. Small boundaries helped.
Just a little bit. Then the next one, when you were growing up, at what point did you think you had it in you to succeed in becoming a pro cricketer, and what made you a little bit better than the rest of the players around you?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and a flipping good one. Difficult one to
Yeah.
answer that.
I think I've always had quite a lot of self-belief in me. I mean, I was playing when I was down in Hampshire, where I lived when I was younger. I was playing sort of under 10s, under 12s, and then when I moved up to Scotland, I played all the age groups. I did miss out on the under 17. Scotland, I think it was under 17, so I was the year below. So they did it in 2-year blocks. So I missed out that year, and that was quite a good sort of leveler. Almost in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to go through the age groups. I'm going to go to each one, and then I'm going to go and play national cricket, and that's just how it's going to pan out. And having that year sort of away really made me think, actually, I need to get my game at that better level. And then the year after that, or 2 years after that, I was obviously made my debut. So obviously something worked out quite well in those 2 years. I just think regular success. So enjoying scoring runs. I just loved batting. So I was playing any cricket possible. I remember playing some third team cricket when I was sort of under 13, under 14, in some of the weirdest places possible. I think I drove past one the other day, actually, and there's a path that runs through it. I just tried to play as much cricket as possible and learn from all the old guys. There was one old guy who didn't like the fact that I hit the ball in the air. He kept telling me to slow down and hit it on the ground, which obviously hasn't worked out too well. But yeah, cricket's a good leveler. So even now you can be, the regional series this season, we played 2 T20s, and game 1 I got the first bowler, and then the next game in the afternoon I got my first ball, I hit it for 6. So it's one of those that I think as long as you're enjoying it and you're working hard, then you have that sort of self-belief. I know that if I'm not performing well enough, is it because I've lost the ability to hit a cricket ball, or is it because I've not put enough work in? So that's one thing. I just need to make sure that I'm nailing every single skill during the week, so that when it comes to the game day, that's the fun bit. The boring underarms over the winter for 8 weeks in a row, hitting tennis balls, that's the tough stuff that you have to do in order to give you that sort of belief in your own game that you can then step up. And I started doing that from quite a young age. Actually, some of the coaches we had we're going to do underarms, especially my school coach, Chuck Swan. We were doing underarms in November off tennis balls into the back wall for hours. So knowing exactly sort of, right, this is what I need to do in order to get there. And just having that self-belief in your own game. It can be sort of learned, but I find it's something that you have a little bit of. And then as the success comes, you can sort of really, really develop on that. But that's from my own sort of personal background. I try not to think too much that I've made it. I don't think you've ever really made it in cricket. There's always things to be learned. And a couple of bad scores or a couple of bad runs, and then you're back down to sort of regular club cricket, and you've got to just build yourself back up. It's just having that self-belief in the process and backing it. And if the process isn't working, being okay to switch it up and try something new.
No, that's insightful there again, from the fact that there's challenges, and like we keep going back to, no matter what level you're playing at, cricket is the biggest leveler on planet Earth, I rate, in terms of sporting wise. It challenges you on every sort of front, and doesn't matter how almost good you are, it will find a way to bring you back down to earth. So thanks for that little insight on that question, and really good question there, Pete and Josh. Glad you put your heads together to ask a good one.
Yeah, got me thinking on a Saturday night. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's needed every now and again. Then the last one, I just see and that have sent through another one, which I'll ask after this one as the last question, then we'll move on, is do you enjoy playing cricket more now than when you were a child?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Hands down. As soon as I stop enjoying it,
yeah,
I think that's when I will stop playing. I don't see any. I'm so lucky to be able to train regularly. I'm so lucky to be able to, would have been going to a World Cup. It's so lucky to be able to play as much as I am and go to all these different places. As soon as, if I wasn't enjoying it, I wouldn't be here. And the amount of hours you've got to put in the training. So over the last winter, we were up at 6:30 because our centres a school, so we were either in the morning or in the evening. So we were up frosty mornings, 6:30 in the morning till 8. Then we go do our gym stuff, our fielding, and then we come back in at sort of 6 till 9 in the evening. If I didn't enjoy it, that would be a long old slog. So yeah, no, I absolutely love it. It was not good, but it almost made me realise how much I missed it. When you're playing day in, day out in the summer and you've got a long stint in the field and you're chasing leather for 50 overs and they're getting 350 plus and you're getting beaten every other week, it can be quite tough. But having not played as much for the last however many months, you do realise actually we're very lucky and it's an awesome game. Yeah, I love it. It's awesome.
No, it's one of those games, like with the amount of time it takes, you have to love it. It's very difficult to play it if you don't.
Yeah,
so I think, good bit of, that's a really good answer there. And thanks for that question as well, Pete and Josh. And then I'll ask the last one, which Omar's just sent in now. And he says, how do you decide which ball or bowler to target and take on with big shots?
Ooh. A lot of it is I know roughly which type of bowlers I'd like to take down. Being a left-hander who likes to sweep and hit straight, there's some bowlers that I would speak to my partner about and just go, right, I'm going to have a think and see whether I can take this guy down. A lot of it is the scenario as well. We always talk about a lot of T20 stuff is try and get 2 big takedown overs in that 20 overs of sort of 20 plus runs, 18, 20 plus runs, because that can really sort of set the tone for the rest of the game. And that could be first over, it could be any time, as long as you've got a sort of a clear plan in doing so. A lot of it is sort of practice. So we're lucky enough to have quite a few seamers, spinners. So we've been able to practice scenarios where it's like, right, you need to try and get 20 off this over and just working out plans to do that. A lot of it, just communication as well with our partner. So there's some games. We played a performance game this summer where I knew the guy at the other end. It was a left arm spinner, orthodox. He just got one the first ball. We didn't even need to chat. We knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to get one and I was going to try and target that bowler. And then the next over, he was hitting to the shorter boundary. So I got one and he went that way. It's knowing each other's games, knowing your game really well. If I decided to try and take on a bowler that wasn't my strength or at the bad situation, then obviously that's down to me. But yeah, communication with your partner is key. Discussing it. And then if you both come to a clear understanding of right, this is happening, keeping a nice clear head, clear plan, and then going from there. All down to the situation and making sure if you're gonna target a bowler, make sure you've nailed those skills. If I decided to take down a bowler trying to hit it over cover every time, I'd get shouted at. That's not my thing. Whereas if I decided, right, this is my plan, I'm going to try and sweep this left armour every single ball, then from my point of view, there's no issue with that because I know that that's my game, and that's that's the best sort of plan of doing that. Yeah, communication and just backing your skills is key.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you've come down to that similar point every time, is just knowing your game inside out. And I think that's one thing you guys at the level that you play at do differently to any other level, is the fact that you almost know your games inside out, and you know what your skills are and which bowlers to take on, what balls to bowl if you're a bowler, and as fielders where your strongest position is and how you're going to maximize your potential. So yeah, I think it's just understanding your game inside out, and you've covered that on quite a few occasions now, which is always good, especially going into next season, for guys to understand that it's just understanding what you do, and if you do what you do well, it should come off.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
every now and again when it doesn't, just back yourself.
Yeah, we're quite lucky. So we've got videos of pretty much all bowlers that we face. So if we know that we're playing Holland, we can sit down, look at the analyst comes up and just goes, right, this is the team. We can sit through and look at each bowler and just go, right, in the first 4 overs, this is what he usually tries to do. In the middle overs, this is what he tries to do. At the death, these are this bowler's 4 options. And then you try and work out a pattern, and you look at the field and you go, actually, right. So we're lucky enough to have that. Finding it harder going down, and obviously they've got that on you as well. So they know that I'm going to target there or I'm going to target there. So it's always good to, when you know you've got a decent amount of time, you can start trying to come up with different plans and different situations, and so that you can sort of one up the bowler. But yeah, practice is a massive key, and knowing that I know this bowler is going to bowl me Yorkers and bumpers, so I need to make sure that I can hit Yorkers and bumpers. If there's slower balls, I need to practice slower balls. If it's facing 75 miles an hour or 90, you need to just make sure that you've practiced at that level, so that you know that when it comes down, you've got the skills to deal with it.
Perfect. No, that's really good in terms of that, just understanding what it takes and the amount of work that goes into becoming a good cricketer. So thanks for that, Ollie. I see I have missed one here from T1 and T2, which I do apologize. They have asked, who is the best bowler you've ever faced and why, and what is your favorite type of bat and why?
Ooh, bowlers. So I remember, when I was 16, I remember facing Harry Gurney on a green one in a 3-day game. That was horrible. It was nipping around both ways. I kept remembering just getting hit on the inner thigh, and not on the thigh pad. I just kept getting peppered. And I was like, right, I'm going to walk at him. And then he'd pull his length back and I'd still get hit. And I was like, right, I've got no idea what I'm going to do here. And I think it was at that point I decided red ball cricket's probably not for me.
To the white ball.
It's the white one that swings for the first 2 overs and then it's done. But yeah, that was an eye opener as well at sort of 16, 17. I faced Danny Briggs. Made me look quite stupid once when we played Hampshire. I just kept trying to sweep him, and then I kept trying to come down the wicket, and I must have given him some very obvious signals, because he seemed to just fire them down leg side, and I'm glad there was no footage of that game. And that was one game that made me think, right, I need to sort out my spin game. I personally don't like. I enjoy it, but playing against training against sort of Watty, he knows my game quite well. So we did a little scenario the other day. So Mark Watt, he knew that I was going to reverse sweep one, so he fired in a leg stump Yorker and got me. So I quite like, because we train with each other so much, he's sort of found out ways of manipulating my game. So I need to now go back to the drawing board and try and one-up him again for next time.
Yeah, always been one step ahead of the competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but when you spend every day, a couple of hours each day with them, he bowled for something like 6 hours in the last couple of weeks. So he's been really churning out the overs. Yeah, he got me in the scenario. I needed 6 off 2 balls, and I bottled it, unfortunately.
So yeah, there again, hopefully that insight is a good one for you, T1 and T2. And just on the bat,
the bats. So
yeah.
I used to be quite OCD about my bats. I used to like a certain number of grains, and they had to look pretty. And since becoming a pro again, and now I get sent some absolute beauties. It's all about sort of how much they ping, number of grains, not too fast. How they look, not too fast. Just give it a quick tap. If the ball makes a nice sound and flies off, I like a nice middle, not too low, not too high, and a nice full back. Used to think that the size of the edges was a big thing, but having spent a lot of time being given various different ones, as long as it pings, I'm not overly fast anymore.
Yeah.
I've used various different ones. Brand wise, currently a free agent, so if anyone out there knows anyone,
a plug.
But I know a lot of guys always get their bats from this one guy over here. So yeah, don't be fooled by the big brands. A lot of it is marketing. So I know Keeley seemed to be doing quite a few bats for the pros. I think it was Dave Warner ordered a load in, and I know a load of people use him. I've got a couple of his bats, and they're outstanding. But as long as it pings, I'm happy.
Yeah, and there again, obviously, from a personal point of view, kind of a personal preference. Just what you feel.
Middle, fullback, weight wise, I'm not too fast anymore. The difference between like a 2.9 and a 2.10 is something like a Freddo Frog. So it's not really going to make too much difference. I quite like to not know the weight, and I close my eyes and just pick it up and have a feel. I've got some 2.7s that pick up ridiculously heavy. I've also got a 2.12 that is the lightest bat I've ever picked up. So yeah, it's all how it feels. I like to use them on the machine for a little bit and some throwdowns, and then if I'm not happy with it, usually some of my mates get given them.
Fair enough.
So one or two might be coming your way. You never know.
Don't mind, send them. I'm more than happy. And then, sorry, we'll just go with last two, and then we're going to move on to our last big award for the night. So Pete messaged me one through about 10 minutes ago asking how important is experience in cricket.
I think there is a balance. I think all teams do have a balance. Experiences helped me massively, so I understand my game now. When I was sort of 18, I like to think I had all the shots and I could play everything and I could hit every ball everywhere. Whereas obviously now, whilst I still think I can,
yeah,
I try. I know that there's certain areas that are right. I've got a better percentage of hitting this shot. And then experience of having played, like Carl Kutzer, for example. I love batting with him because he's been playing for however many years, and he's always great to just chat to and just go, right, even if the rate creeps up, he's very good to just go, right, if we keep doing this, we've done it before, we know what's happening. You can build on that experience. There's also that having that youthful freedom is also quite handy as well. So I think there is like that fine balance of experience, but not using that experience sort of in a negative way, keeping that free mind and being able to sort of express yourself. I think it does help in sort of high pressure situations, and on a personal level, sort of knowing your game. It takes some people a lot longer. I know some 22-year-olds that know their game very well, and I know some 30-year-olds that have only just figured it out. Me being one of them. So yeah, it's invaluable as long as you just take the positives from it and keep that positive mindset. Cricket's very much, if you dwell on the negatives in the past a little bit too much, it can come back and bite you and level you. So yeah, always look at failures as a way of learning rather than sort of something to sit back and sort of reminisce on too much.
And that leads perfectly into our last question is, can you ask how important is team mentality in cricket?
Massive, very big, because you spend so long together. It's a whole day in the field, and when you go on tours, it's not quite like rugby where you go away for a little bit and then you're off. So our qualifiers, we were away for 2 weeks beforehand in South Africa, and then a month top trip. So we were together as a group of sort of 15 for 6 weeks straight. So having that team bond is key. You spend a lot of time together. It's something we work on massively. We've just done sort of like a spotlight training, so we're starting to know how each of us work, and how that can sort of affect each other. So like my personality and how it'll affect the group, and how possibly what things that stress me out are things that stress my other teammates out, and how we can help each other. It's also a fine line of spending too much time together. If you spend too much time together, that can also be sort of quite toxic, and knowing who your sort of close friends are on that trip and on those in that squad and team is vital to make sure sort of you're staying as switched on as possible. But yeah, that camaraderie is ideal, and we spend a lot of time sort of working on that and trying to understand each other, so that when a high pressure situation comes in and you've been away for 6 weeks on a tour, and then you've got a last ball, last over to win the match, how it's all going to go down. And also, if you're having a little bit of a rough patch, how can we help to pick each other up? And also, if you're on a high, keeping each other rooted to the ground, because usually with cricket, right around the corners, it's not all rainbows. You're going to have a little downfall. So making sure that you understand how each other tick is key, and that's something you just got to sort of continually work with, especially with squads changing for different formats. That's a big thing.
Yeah, and I think that's one at junior cricket that we almost tend to neglect in a way, not from a point of view that it's not there, but we don't put a spotlight on it. Like you say, we tend to just hope it happens. So I think if it's something that you can almost practice and learn what everyone's about, that team cohesion and the team synergy that you have becomes a lot better, and you tend to know what everyone's levels are and how to piss people off and how to make sure that everyone tags along. So
yeah. No, definitely. So we don't do too many team meals, but yeah, in South Africa we went to the aquarium and started swimming with sharks, and it was good to know who was scared of sharks. And that was always quite fun. And who the jokers are, and who, if you're feeling a bit down, who can you go for a bit of a laugh? And if you want a serious chat, who do you have a chat with? Just spending as much time together sort of away from cricket is massive. So yeah, we spent golf days, team meals, not so much that we end up hating each other and getting annoyed by each other, but sort of enough that you know how each person ticks, and how you can help out and not suck the life out of each other.
No, perfect. Yeah, it's a difficult one to manage and find that balance of. So Ollie, once again, thank you so much for your time tonight and for answering the questions, for your insights into the game, and especially from that top level, and also from the challenges of being not a major test playing nation, and just the challenges of what it means to be a cricketer at that level, just trying to do their best with minimal means, to be fair. Don't have the same, like you say, the same funding as the big nations, but still have to find the same or similar performance levels as the big nations, especially when you're competing against them. So from all of us at Elland CC, and obviously from my point of view, I do appreciate your time, and I hope everyone's got a little bit out of Ollie, and I'm looking forward to having Ollie at Elland at some stage to do a hitting masterclass. Hopefully our boundaries are big enough. I guess we'll wait and see.
Definitely. Really good to get down.
But thank you so much. I'm just going to ask if you could just stick online, because we're going to be doing our last award, which I would like you to just announce the winner. So I'll share the screen, and then just before the name comes up, Ollie will announce who the winner is. So yeah, that's the end of our guest speaker parts in the Q&A. Hopefully everyone's got something out of that. I'm going to open up the PowerPoint again, and we'll do our last and big award. So Ollie, if you would like to announce the winner of the Malcolm Westerby Trophy for 2020.
So the winner is Ombahera. Well done, Om.
Once again, you've come and shone this year at Elland. You've been a role model to your peers. You've shown an extreme desire to learn and improve your game. And I think this and the awards that you've received tonight have just shown how much of an impact you've had at Elland. And we appreciate everything that you've done. And I personally look forward to working with you over the next few years, and hopefully seeing you going from strength to strength. But yeah, if we could just once again just unmute our mics and just give another clap for winning the Malcolm Westerby Trophy for 2020. And then the last bit of business that we've got for tonight is something that I wanted or have been asked if we could please do. There's two sort of special people amongst our ranks here by the names of T1 and T2, or what they're known as. Could we all join in and sing happy birthday to them? So here we go. I'm just going to pull up the slide. I'm going to share the screen. And if we could just sing a happy birthday.
Stop it, let me on mute.
3, 2, 1. Oh, no.
Happy birthday.
Perfect. Simon's even got the guitar up.
Happy birthday, Jack and Liam.
Happy birthday, Jack and Liam. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for everything that you've done this year. The efforts that you put in. I know it hasn't been the easiest of seasons. To Pete, all the work that you've put in to this club and to make sure the juniors runs efficiently and well, and almost the headaches that you have to put up with. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your effort. And without you, we wouldn't be where we are. And the only reason we keep improving is down to your dedication and hard work. So just there again, if we could just unmute our mics and just give Pete a round of applause for all the work he's done. And last but not least, coming on to our supporters and our parents and the people that play a vital role in Elland and what it's all about. Obviously, it's nice to recognize a person from our community that showed a considerable amount of dedication and passion and just drive for the club. And that's put in a lot of almost hard work and just commitment to what we do. We would like to congratulate Emma Oldfield for being the parent supporter of the year. If we could just give Emma a clap. So well done to Emma. Thanks for everything you've done off the field, and looking forward to things moving forward. Pete, thank you, and to every parent that's on here, to every cricketer that's on here. Your efforts have been absolutely mind-blowing this year, in a very difficult year. Hopefully we go from strength to strength next year, and we just keep growing as a cricket club. And it's all going to start with this group that we have on here. Ollie, obviously, thanks for being our guest speaker tonight, and look forward, and hopefully our juniors are going to look forward to working with you. But yeah, to everyone on this call, to everyone for joining tonight, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done. We will end the Zoom call there. And yeah, just thanks for joining tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Kiran, for organizing it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Kieran,
Cheers.
super.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Kieran.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys.
Leave me in.
Brilliant, Kieran. Thank you.
Just keep, yeah, there we go. Dropping one by one like flies.
Excellent, Kieran. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, guys.
There we go.
Wait.
I don't know how you stop it.
You go like this.